Well, here we are again outside on the balcony overlooking the highway. Cars back and forth. An artery of modern civilization. Never ending, always pumping the blood. Always back and forth. The economy never stopping, never sleeping. People running their rat races not for enjoyment, because they have to go here, they have to go there, they have to drive by. They're in a tunnel vision, tunnel of the road, just getting from point A to point B. That's all that there is to life right now, is to get from point A to point B. The myth of point B, the myth of point A. So I don't know if I have the energy right now to do this. I'm just feeling kind of this buzz of, I don't know, just I guess I feel like I'm riding on momentum right now. It's been a crazy well, I guess it's been 2 weeks now, and I just mean it's always difficult like this to express, to get things out, to make some kind of creation, some kind of product, something that people can experience, some type of expression that I can get out there, that I can be heard, that I can have feedback, that I can share my experiences. It feels great. It is very very satisfying for me to see this project coming together, and at the same time it's exhausting in some ways. In other ways I feel like I really need to get it out for my own, I guess you could say, spiritual health. When I go for too long feeling like there's stuff left too much unsaid, it can really kind of get me down. Just feels like something needs to get out, needs to express, and I think this is a normal part of the creative process. And I'm thankful for the ability to explore my passion. I feel very strongly about these topics and what I'm putting together here, and I hope that it makes sense for people. I hope that I can use it to further interact with those in my network. So to this end, I've been going through the church, and I've been concretely trying to speak about what can people, like, how can I see my church get better, grow in the spirit. So the church is just one context here. I bring up the meta-narrative also to bring in the Portal Mountain work. So the church is a lot of local proximity guilds for me. The building itself, a number of other locations where I do small groups, as well as like phone contact, just calling people sometimes, talking. So that's kind of one area that I'd like to be able to reach. Another with the meta-narrative stuff is the Portal Mountain project, which is relating to the SOTS network. So the Portal Mountain project, I mean, this whole thing is relevant. Obviously, this whole exposition, and I'm really trying to get back to some of the roots of the initial kind of activities and so-called I guess critical activism that's been that's been happening and coming together in the SOTS Telegram network for many years now. That with the AO project, this is deeply related to the DEC protocol, as well as the dashboard. So I'd like for this expression to be very relevant to anybody interested in the AO, anybody interested in Portal Mountain, as well. So getting into the Great Axial War and what this has to do with embodiment, and what that has to do with the meta religion or the meta organization. So the Great Axial War, and this is kind of my little I guess my interpretation, my foray into the Alphabetica sphere, which I've been very interested in bridging, and I feel like in the last month or two we've really hit some breakthroughs with cybernetics and embodiment. I think we've been able to bridge our works pretty well. And in the past we've had some good discussions about the APS. I don't think that we've quite been able to get on exactly the same page, but I know that we're talking about concepts that are basically just being defined a little bit differently, or using certain words different ways. So for in terms of the Great Axial War that I want to get into, that specifically is me trying to reach out and relate to the Alphabetica crew, and then of course I'm going to get into more concrete details about some aspects of perception mechanics, the spectacle and APS dichotomy, how they work together, how they become exploited, talking more about computational propaganda, and so sorcery of the spectacle. So that I'm going to try and speak to that and try to answer the question, what is the sorcery of the spectacle? That cliche question that comes up every month, almost every few weeks. And so that's what I plan on going through. So we're still at the church right now. We just left off talking about just giving some various different different ideas about what I think would make a healthier church, and specifically what kinds of things that people, that the community and people themselves can actually be aware of and try to participate in and try to encourage and grow together in. So we left off talking about trauma and how trauma severely depresses the reality of the individual, leaving no room for the spirit to move and for the spirit to work. And so we have problems where we have these family groups, or like cliques, these in-groups, insider-outsider type of dichotomies set up, which is really damaging and it's not right. It's not the right environment for the spirit to be moving in. When you and of course it makes sense logically. If you want to talk to somebody and they are shy and nervous, and they won't even look at you in the eyes, because they don't look at anybody in the eyes, and many people are like this. They won't look at each other, and the church is like this just as much as the world is. We have the same things. We have these little groups going on, and only staying within our comfort zone, and not willing to go out and act in faith, that the faith that Christ and His Holy Spirit is at work in us, and the faith that if we only act on that knowledge, that whatever we do in His name will be glorifying to God, will be justified, and will bear fruit. So that's the faith we need, and that's how the Spirit moves. And so I'm just bringing up a number of things related to my own personal research, but the types of stuff that I've seen in the church as major problems. For example, not acknowledging discipleship, not acknowledging that people are at different parts, different degrees of coherence to God, towards God. Without that acknowledgement, we really have no way of properly navigating our relationships, and that's really what it's about. So we're coming together in small groups and in proximity guilds. This is the kind of stuff that we would expect to happen, that we see, and this is the basis of the guild. The guild is in its most concrete form proximity guilds. So this is the people connecting together in a certain context, a certain reason for getting together. And if they are unable to even open up to each other, if people can hardly look each other in the eyes, how are we going to work together? So we have many trauma-induced depressionary behaviors, depressions of our reality, which end up breaking the constraints which are necessary for a relationship. Even just to be open to speaking your mind and not afraid of what's going to happen if you're judged, and all this kind of stuff. This is why spiritual growth and development is necessary. And I think that the church has to take trauma seriously and understand that pretty much everybody is traumatized. And everybody feels really, really nervous and anxious about the prospect of acting out in faith and being there, just being present for people and putting yourself out there, and doing all kinds of things that a healthy society would do. In these days, people don't know their neighbor. They don't want to know their neighbor. So it's a very, very complicated, wicked problem that if we're going to create a healthy society, and the actors in this society, you and me, the individuals, the people, have no capacity to relate to each other. If we don't have that even most very fundamental capacity, how are we going to get it off the ground? And so this is a very crazy challenge to think about. And of course, I will simply just allude back to Illuminati networking, and as well as the ever-present potential within our pure potentiality, that everything that we see that is chaotic and disorderly, everything that's out of place, we can make the choice, we can make the decision right now in this moment to take care of that, and by acting out the truth hyperstitionally, we bring that order to bear. And it doesn't matter what it is or how it looks or how bad it is. Anything that's out of place according to how God sees it, everything that is in a fallen and decayed and broken state, all of it can be turned around and made to the glory of God. Can be refreshed, revitalized. The life can be put back in. The flow can come back. The crust can be broken. The past can be transcended. So, to get even more detail on the church, I had advocated for an intentional kind of networkability in the church, in regard to how I see the guild unfolding, and how our talents and energies and time and resources can be used together and traded and shared with each other, and that by doing so we can keep our strength and our power, and continue to build up and build ourselves stronger. So this concretely looked something like, just in a very infant state, or a very simplistic way of doing such an idea, would be, for example, first doing some type of canvas of the church network, of the people in the church, and trying to find out what kind of skills or what kind of things or stuff or supplies or whatever, what does the church have to offer potentially? What are they willing to offer? What kind of time are they willing to offer? And as well, taking stock of the needs that people have. So this is getting back to the church as an ideal kind of platform for concentrating of trust, facilitation of trust relationships, as well as that training and that discipleship, which is required to make a higher coherence networks. This is what the church should be doing if the body is ever to recover from its deathly sickness. The church needs to be doing this kind of stuff, and of course, we would encounter those who do not, for whatever reason, wish to participate, and it's going to come down to like traumas and stuff, and as well as obligations of feeling like being overwhelmed and busy with work and other stuff, and like this overwhelming just sapping away of all of our time by the world and by our jobs and all this kind of responsibilities. Of course people are going to be like that, and so this is a catch-22, because when we work together, when we do things potentially much more cheaper for each other, as in you don't have maybe overhead for certain things. For example, if you need something or a piece of furniture, like this is another example of how the church can facilitate these kind of platforms to connect to each other. One would be like, of course, just even giveaway or donation of high value items. I believe I brought this up already. But it's just such a shame to have, like if you're moving or if you're downsizing, you have no choice but to get rid of a bunch of stuff that has value, that has use. It's really could be a blessing and a good use, a good stewardship of resource, if we can put things away together, like donate to give away things to the church family. You know, if they don't send out a call, does anybody need this? If not, you know, after too long, maybe then just give it away to another Goodwill or whatever donation store, secondhand store, like high value stuff that just goes in the garbage for no reason. We have no way of capturing that within our church. That's common knowledge, or that seems to be used. So there's just all kinds of like simple economic things that we can do to strengthen each other. We can give each other business, like even just a basic business networking. The world does this. The world is able to do this to great effect. Trading business, trading clients, just the network effect. This is what the church is in a prime position to be facilitating. And so if we see our churches not doing this kind of community facilitation, then we know, we can be for sure that that something is not, the Spirit is not moving right in the church. If it's barely even able to get together for preaching and doctrine and doing Bible studies, if that's the very core, and we have not expanded past that, if we haven't gotten out of our own mind of just reading the Bible, if it hasn't spilled out into our world, into some kind of meaningful action, then we are failing as a church. We are not meant to just study the Bible. We are not meant to acquire and accumulate head knowledge. We're not supposed to keep learning law just to obey that law. This is stagnant and it's death. If the church if the type of learning that the church is doing is not resulting in action, and is not resulting in creating that welcome environment and creating disciples of Christ, and just energizing and invigorating people and encouraging people to go out and evangelize or whatever and bring people in, if the church doesn't seem like a welcoming or a good place to even trust that people should bring them in, then the church is failing, the church is dying. So this is what I need from my church family, to whatever extent possible. I need help. I need help with this work. It can't be me, and I do know of a few others who seem as spiritually kind of just charged and ready to tear into the world. There are a few people I know of who are like that. But we are not organized together. We need to get organized better together. This is what I was referring to as membership guilds, membership proximity guilds. So this is intentionally meeting together, knowing that you have the Spirit together, and this is the point, is to be able to speak in confidence with others who are spirited, and really get down to business and not worry about tripping over toes or offending anybody, walking on eggshells, or otherwise holding back to avoid triggering of guests and participants. We need to get together intentionally, and we need to talk honestly about what our church is doing, what the church is doing, what we can be doing as a part of that to help it grow in the direction that it needs to grow. I know there are leadership meetings, but for the church, for our church anyways, but this is Church of the Earth type stuff. As far as I know, I don't know. I'm not part of it, so I have no idea what goes on. All I know is it's the old whoever has been there for a long time type of stuff, and this is a type of thing where you have to stand and walk on eggshells again, because you have people there who have been there for so long that they feel that they have seniority, and it's their duty and obligation to be there and to do this and to do that and whatever. And even at a high level meeting like that, I would fully expect to have these just dramas around any corner, just waiting to happen, waiting to spill out. Dramas that are undealt with because nobody's gonna speak up, because people are now afraid of change. They're afraid of losing what they have, of all the work they put in. They're afraid of the relationships just going poof up in smoke if they say the wrong thing. And this is not the way that we should be. This is capture. This is being captive by the enemy. Afraid to move, afraid to speak. We have to blast through those types of expectations, and let the Spirit work and move, and let minds and mouths be open, and let the truth be spoken, let who is going to cry, and the cards fall where they may. We can't be afraid of the structure. We can't be afraid of the order of the Church of the Earth. So I think that's about it. There was one note that I would mention about about addiction. I guess I just want to quickly throw it out there. This idea of codependency with addiction. So when you are not at peace in yourself, like let's say two addicts together, they can easily trigger themselves, and I've experienced this in my life. They can trigger each other. Just the way that using drugs to escape can just cause chaos around you, and when somebody causes that chaos and triggers the chaos, your inner world is disturbed to the point where now you have to try and escape. So this is a very dangerous dynamic to be in, and ultimately the answer is that we have to fix ourselves first. We have to find the peace of God. We need the calm at the eye of the hurricane. We need the calm of God within us. That way the outside triggers of the world do not cause and force us through whatever rationalization to go to that crutch, to that drug. And as well that this codependent relationship, so it can be between two addicted users just escaping from each other and their world, and just one gets healthier, but then the other triggers them back, and it's like it can be very difficult to untwine that. The other kind of aspect of codependency which I've seen is the pain of alienation that it causes when you have an accountability partner that's just slapping you with the law and throwing the law at you, and every time you break the law, all they do is point at the law, and there's no empathy, there's no compassion, and this kind of alienation, so this law-based interaction with you, which is in many cases of addiction, this is actually a cause of a need to escape from, because our world is cold and doesn't care about us, and has no interaction with our deep inner selves, our inner subjective experience, because those who are assaulting us with these violent communications, they themselves assault their own body. They assault themselves. Their own mind is disconnected from their own body. So their accountability crutch is to try and submit, to try and pull your body under submission. So presuming that your own mind can't seem to control your body, they're going to try use their mind to control your body, right? And this is, again, it's just alienating, and this can cause that same type of codependent problem where you're having an outside trigger that's actually making you feel like escaping more, just because of the heartlessness of it, just because it's reminding you of the cold world, and simply that cold world is doing what the mind always does. It's going after the symptom. So instead of dealing with the cause, which is a deep scarring of the disembodiment process and the alienation of the body from this unmoored breakaway civilization. So that pain can actually cause us to further rely on drugs or whatever, which are, again, the symptom. The underlying cause is that disconnection, and having an accountability partner that merely points out the law to you and doesn't know how to reach you because they don't know their own body. They're not compassionate to their own self. This is the underlying stuff that's difficult to deal with, and this is why the church needs to take trauma seriously, and it needs to take discipleship seriously, so that we can heal our spirit, which is the underlying problem of so much suffering on this world.